Hey everybody, what's going on? Today we're going to continue working on this project right here, which involves the tunnel, cliff edge, and angled road. It looks pretty good so far, but I think we should continue by adding detail to this section of rock over here. We can see these ones are all slopes, but over here is quite panelish, and we've got some like holes and everything. So now we just need to come through here and add all our different various slopes so that it matches up with some of the other rock work in the city. So we're cooking away here on the rock work. Check it out. It looks so much better. This is just like the second layer of detail. So first you do the rock panels, then you do all the slopes and all that, mix it in some light bluish gray as well. And look at that, there's even a bird's nest. But the difference is night and day. Like look at these corner rock panels. They look incredible. There's so many slopes and ski slopes on there. It is fantastic. Of course, we haven't done the vegetation yet, and it's not quite done yet. But there we have the rock panels with slopes compared to the 100% slopes and inverted slopes. If you need to go up a high distance within a few studs, this is the way to do it. And of course, you can do that anywhere. You can use 100% slopes, but it uses a lot more pieces. And I think this looks good. I like having the combination of both. So now I'm starting to think about this area over here where we have the 16 by 16 Technic panels and also the tunnel. Now this area here is sort of strange because we have the elevated area up by the botanical garden, which is actually at this height. If you measure up to the mill's plate that sits on top of the wood structure. So it's actually a little bit lower than this. For some reason, we built this mountain up higher than that. That's why there's a retaining wall and a staircase on this side. And then there's the lower section, which is this height. And that is right in front of the residential houses. And that goes to the top of the mill's plate on top of that wood structure. And then we have this area, which actually bridges the two different heights because there's that road ramp right there. It's sort of hard to build up here, but there's no way we can build it down there by the city because of course we need to access all of our parts. So sometimes it's hard to visualize that end game when you're building these massive modules up here to be placed down here in the Lego city. Like it's hard to visualize, right? Especially when you're dealing with these different heights. I've got my two markers there. So we've got the taller section, and this one will go to the top of the brick on the mill's plate, so an additional plate on top of that. And then this one in the lower section is the same thing. So we've got one more plate and tile on top of that. And my goal, or our goal, is to build this area up so that we can have some more space for more residential buildings that are sort of like the Ballin houses looking into the countryside. I think that would be super cool. And then of course, we're gonna have our road connecting through here. So eventually we're gonna have to modify this, but we're gonna have to add some tiles to that. Also rip out this reddish brown road and connect a road all the way through that's gonna connect to the other tunnel right there. And of course, once we get this mountain module complete, well then guess what? We've gotta work on another mountain module for over here, but this one's going to be a different design. I can spiel on about how we're going to do that one, but that's not what this video is about. But boy, oh boy, am I ever tempted to. Make sure you stay tuned because that one's going to accommodate a campsite or a campground, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I need to build up here in a short distance just so we can leave the maximum amount of space up top here for some giant mansions and their grounds. It might even be a really good spot for a Lego set, which is sort of a mansion, and that is the Twilight set. That will actually look really good up there. It has a pretty narrow footprint as well. Like it's not even 32 studs, so it would work over there somewhere. So we are leaning toward that idea. I think that would be pretty neat. Just like my Lego City and coffee, I like to keep my wardrobe fresh. That's where we bring up today's sponsor, Into the AM. The company consists of a team of artists and creators that have been providing premium apparel since 2012. Their comfy clothing is handcrafted with care and features brilliant designs. I love the outdoors, hence my Lego City countryside. The designs printed on these tees are perfect. Into the AM offers a huge selection of tops, bottoms, and outerwear. Some have designs, and some are just the basics. So whether it's a hot summer day or a cool evening, they've got you covered. Now that matches my style to a T. No pun intended. Like check out these joggers, everybody. They are so comfy. They even have zipper pockets. Yeah, I'm gonna live my life in these things. Ever since I came across Into the AM, I can't stop looking at their designs and chill options. Some of them even glow in the dark. Into the AM offers a 30-day money-back guarantee, hassle-free returns, and lightning-fast shipping. Your satisfaction is their top priority. Check out all these awesome products on their website and save 10% by using my link, which is in the pinned comment and description below. Thank you so much Into the AM for sponsoring this video. Let's get back to the Lego. What I decided to do is actually raise this Technic structure here to the height of the residential area, so that should line up perfectly, and then there's the plate that goes on top. So that'll work out nicely. So when you put a plate on there, because of course we're not going to leave it black, but if we put like green plate or gray plate or whatever it may be, it'll be the same height as the residential area. But there's that ramp that comes down right here, and it's 16 studs. So what I think we're going to do is just build this ridge all the way along and have it curve, sort of like that, and come down, and it'll match the pitch of the ramp. And then this can all be lower at the residential height, and so can this section that I'm currently working on building here. And I'm building that with these, but I can't use 2 of them because I only have 32 studs to work with. So I'm actually going to extend it using some of these smaller Technic pieces, and you can see how many pins I put in there to reinforce it. But these ones actually come a plate lower, but I can just top them with plate, and then of course adapt them to this 16 by 48 section there, and then put my risers in, or supports in, the same height as this. And then all this section here will be the same height, which is going to offer us a nice flat section for whatever we choose to put there. And the hill can just be blended in close up against this module here, leaving us a lot of space. And then when I get around to developing that other plate that sits beside this, I can just continue at this same height here. So it's almost like an extension of that platform. So we've got our foundation here. This is looking pretty solid. And of course, once we throw down plates to change the color up top here, it's going to interlock it even further, and it's going to make it quite solid. Even more solid than it currently is, so pretty happy with that. Now the issue is when we started laying down all of these bricks and rock panels here, the plate that's going to go on here to change the color of it will go up against the slopes, for example, and then the stud from the plate will be higher than the slope, and it won't look that good. But as you can see, this is all blended in nicely. I'm not sure if this is actually going to match the pitch of the road there. I'll have to place it to see. But it's all just built in the backside there with panels and bricks and whatever it may be to give it all support. And we've used a combination of just brick built, which is currently not detailed like it is over here, and also the panels, because we just haven't gotten around to that yet. I'm trying to get the foundation for the rock work done before we add more details. And the next area that I'm working on is right down here. I've created the bulge, and I actually found these in the inventory, which are quite nice. I actually have the ability to adapt to studs. A lot of the older ones, they actually don't adapt to studs, so you can't really use them. I was able to find 2 of these, and then some smaller ones, which are like 8x8s, but these are super handy. They are 1 brick thick, so they're really rugged and strong, so we can use them for sort of supports as we build upward. Plus they're green, so if you leave some of them exposed like I did right here, that's a smaller one, an 8x8, it's not the end of the world, although that's going to get covered up with dark bluish gray just because there's holes there. But yeah, if you leave some of it exposed, it's cool, because then it can recess a rock panel back to here and continue building up, and there can be a little green spot there. Super handy. I wish I had more of those. There we go. Now this rock work is where this rock work was this morning. Now all you have to do is just lay a bunch of details down, like all those slopes and vegetation and all that stuff. Yeah, that actually looks sick, hey? What do you think? Wow, I'm really happy with that. I also added a little masonry wall right here. It's like masonry in light gray, and it connects to the rocks on the side here, so it supports the tunnel. And then the tunnel's connected to this rock wall. And I also added some slopes and plates here connecting all this rock work, so it's a little more stable now. And this is still one giant module. Pretty cool. Hey, that is a huge piece. It's going to be hard to move in the end, but it's not too heavy as long as it's properly supported over there when I'm carrying it. It should be all right. That'll be an interesting task though, that's for sure. There's only one thing that I'm still uncertain about, and of course that is the plate that's going to go on top of these panels here. I think I've come up with the perfect solution. We're going to millsplate the black Technic plates there, but we're going to use plates rather than bricks. So we're going to bring it up 2 plates. So just gonna grab our green plates now and install them like so, all the way along. And that's gonna make up the difference pretty much. It'll just be 1 plate lower than the brick. So I think that'll be a good solution, and it's gonna look pretty cool. I think the green looks a lot better. Still a little bit of blending to do on these harsh corners here, but of course that's gonna come with the details of the rock work. Speaking of that, all of this rock work down here has been detailed. Whoo! That looks awesome. I love it. Oh my gosh. There's still some more rock work to detail, such as over here, but we've got a different idea involving the 3.5 base plates that sits beside this section, and then of course up here as well. This is going to be easier to detail because we raised this up, so we no longer have to worry about that weird offset. Like burying the slopes doesn't look good, so I think the Mills plate technique there is going to come in super handy. So as you all know, that giant Mills plate that we're working on up there fills this space in the city. And then we have 3.5 base plates in this like access point. See that space right there? That's 3.5 base plates. And of course we could mountain build that. That was the original intention. On the other side of the Lego city, we have the platform coverings, and one of those platform coverings actually merges with some rock work, the rock work from the zoo right there behind the Venetian houses. And we have this platform covering right here, which actually isn't in use right now, and we've been scavenging parts from it, so it's sort of beat up. But you see this height right here? I just came up with that height by removing these pieces. That's the height of the residential Mills plates. So my theory is if we slide this forward and have it so the platform covering actually starts right on the edge of this here, then we can save all of this space for more buildings up top. So we're essentially going to be extending this platform by building a really cool platform covering that's 3.5 base plates and can support more buildings along here. And it's going to merge together with that rock work and tunnel right there. I think that's a pretty good idea. It involves ripping this apart, putting it on a 3.5 base plate module, and then getting the right height of it and doing some pretty funky building techniques with those Technic panels and the platform covering. But I think it's super cool. It's going to change the dynamic of this area rather than just having all like rocky mountains everywhere. Now we're going to have a little bit of like human-made platform covering, right? A retaining type wall, and then we can transition back into more mountains when we come over here. Well, this is officially trial and error at its finest. I've already gone through 4 different renditions to try and make this work. First thing I did was make a new base plate, which is 3.5 base plates wide. Put the dark bluish gray front on it because of course that's going to be within the access point. Then I was testing the different rock work, different sizes of arches, and all sorts of different stuff just to accommodate those panels. Because if I'm going to make it 32 studs deep and it's right up against the wood platform, it needs to come off the face of the base plate a little bit. It's sort of hard to visualize, but I think I've come up with a perfect solution now. It does involve getting rid of the rock foundation of the like platform covering. It's probably going to be all concrete and masonry brick, but I think it'll look good in the end. I think I've come up with something here. Now I just need to clean up my mess and try again. The mess is gone. Yeah, look at that. We constructed the wall. Doesn't that look pretty cool? Oh, I mean, it looks all right, but I am missing some of the vegetation. Got to add that yet. Still building it here. And also we got to do some part swaps. We did some color substitutions for now. We just don't have enough of the arches in light gray. And eventually we'll get rid of the reddish brown and tan. But yeah, we constructed this wall the exact same way that we constructed all of our other walls. We just spaced out our uprights here by 6 studs. We've got the 8 wide arches on top, and then there's some bricks on top holding it all together, and also the arches coming off there. Some of these are the panels. They're the 1x2x5 panels, but then we build them into the wall with like some 2x2 bricks or whatever it may be. So they're all rock solid in there. And this is different because we pulled it right to the foreground of the plate. So it's actually popping off the plate by 2 studs. And the reason we have to do that is because we want to add 32 studs of those Technic panels all the way along the front here. So this is 3.5 base plates, and we're going to be able to allocate that space to the residential area, which is pretty darn neat if you ask me. Pretty excited about that. And the Technic panels are actually going to be supported by these, which are one of the supports and 8 bricks tall, and that of course matches up with the wall, and hopefully when we pop the Technic panels on top, it's going to match up with the height of the residential platform as well. And there was a little hiccup. When we put the Technic panels on, we realized that, you can actually see the black Technic panel. Like it was like visible because there's a gap right there. So we were trying to mess around with different ways that we could conceal it. We came up with an idea of using brackets like this and attaching that to the underside of the bricks all the way along. But we were messing around with the snot bricks. I was just putting bricks under here, but it looked pretty chunky, like putting underneath the 2x brick there. That didn't look too good. And then we came up with the bracket idea. Ideally, it would be nice to just put these arches all the way along. I think that would look super clean, but it would use like over 100 of those arches, which we do not have. So for now, we're using the bracket method. But let's install this beast right over here, which consists of 14 of those 16 by 16 art panels. They're all pinned together. Not very many pins holding them together, just 2 per section, but it should be fairly stable once we actually install it along the wall there. In fact, you don't even need to pin it together, but it is nice knowing that there's that extra stability there, especially considering the fact that this is going to be supporting awesome houses. Not only did we place the top on, but we also mills plated it using the same technique. And in order to get it the same height as its neighboring module, we actually had to make some modifications to the mills plate. The first modification that we made was we changed it to light gray. Didn't make any sense that it was dark gray. It did when it was supposed to be mountains or whatever, but now it is all platform covering. And to lower it 1 plate, we had to replace one of the bricks on the bottom with 2 plates. But now the math is perfect. And this, hopefully, lines up with the platform in the residential area. I hope that all the measuring I've done throughout 3 or 4 days now works out. But yeah, look at that. These rocks have all been nicely detailed. It lines up beautifully with this. We've got this section over here. It's like a giant mills plate puzzle, and it's so large we can't even put it in its like orientation up here. So I think we should go ahead and place it and check it out. Let's do it. It's the moment of truth. Is everything gonna line up? Oh my gosh, this is always so satisfying. After spending multiple days on working on all these modules, placing them in the city is like the greatest thing ever. You just see it, you know, like all your hard work just come to life, and it is awesome. I love this. And you know what? All the modules lined up perfectly. Even the rock work on the side of the sloped road, it was like perfect. I can't believe it. Well, I guess I can sort of believe it. I mean, I measured so many times, and we have a little bit of experience with working on modular Lego cities, and look at that. It looks so great. I'm fired up on that. It's just awesome. Here's a little drone footage for you to wrap up the show here. We'll check it out. So we've got our hill that is beautifully detailed, and of course, when we started working on this, there was just like a wood platform. There was all the like Technic panels, and it just looked like a dog's breakfast. But now it looks magnificent. There's a lot of green space there, a lot of space for buildings. You can see it right there in the residential area. 32 studs, just beautiful. It's going to make a great place for probably like the Twilight house, the Simon house, Simon's house that he built when he worked for us there. I still have that kicking around, so it'll be a good spot for that. And then we can try and create some other mansions as well. Of course, on this side, we have the tunnel entrance there, so I can finally open that tunnel. Actually, no, not quite yet, because we haven't worked on the roads on the other side. That's going to be one of the future projects that we work on, like in the very near future, within like the next week or so. But now this entire center section here with the zoo, the botanical garden, the residential area, this beautiful hill looks like complete. It's amazing, other than like the little connection piece of the river there. We got to fix that up, and we've got to fix the road too. We've got to connect to our angled road there and actually get service to this tunnel. But look at that. I think it looks so cool. Sort of had like a vision for this project, and I think it really came together quite well. Little overhead shot here, moving all the way up into the ceiling. That center section is now complete between those two access holes. And all the rock work on either side of the tunnel there looks beauty. Now, a lot of people want me to fill those access holes. I'm still trying to wrap my head around how to do that properly. Like if I were to fill them, I'd probably just put green space in there. I don't know, a lot of people want me to have tables that raise and lower perfectly throughout those access points with like full out mountain modules on them. And I don't think it's doable. And I think it's gonna make it a little bit harder to access the Lego city, which I'm not a huge fan of because I constantly am going up and down through these throughout the day. So I don't think we're going to be filling the access holes with something extravagant like mountain modules, but maybe just plain Jane like base plates with a little bit of detail in the future. Now there is something that could be done with that little residential extension that I did. There's the platform covering, of course, and then there's the like supporting pillars in behind that platform covering. I could make the covering have a modular section that's removable, and we could have details within. So like cave details in behind that. It would be easy to access because I would actually build a panel that's removable. And that's something we could do within a lot of our like platform covering mountain cliff edges and stuff like that. I started doing that in the Ninjago one, which we're just barely skipping by there, but it is an idea that I could run with in the future as well. But for now, I'm just trying to get these mountains built, get the angled roads built, and just sort of complete the base construction of this city. And I think this chunk being done was definitely huge progress. Like that looks so incredible right there. Excellent. Now we have to move on to the next. So we may as well park the drone here and say farewell. Of course, we're going to be further developing these areas with buildings, the expansion of the residential area, and we're going to move on to the next mountain module. And like I mentioned, we're going to work on connecting the roads and adding more details in the future. Thank you so much for stopping on by. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please remember to smash that thumbs up, subscribe, and of course, stay tuned. All right, have yourselves a great day. Bye for now.